and welcome to the Victorian Toffee Show. We're back here another week of results, and let's just get into it. Everyone's here that you met last week. So guys, the Villa game. Another poor performance, and we somehow draw. Tim, start us off.
Oh, mate. Look, I don't really have too much to say, to be honest. This season, I think it's just a bit of a write-off at this point, and we're all just hanging out for next season and looking at who we might bring in to replace some of the dross that we've got. Obviously, we're being linked to some players already, which is refreshing. But yeah, I mean, it's just the same old story. No dynamism or creativity in central midfield. Iwobi and Bernard were sort of signed to play on the left of a one striker, and their roles totally changed, and they're not wingers. They don't suit a 4-4-2 system. I wonder if Gomez suits a 4-4-2 system as well. Maybe with someone who gets up and down the park a bit more next to him, he might. But I was just watching the 20-minute highlights before, and when he gave the ball away in central midfield, which resulted in a shot on goal for them, which Branthwaite blocked, he was still going sideways when he gave the ball away. I mean, at least if he was going forward, you could forgive him for being dispossessed, but he was literally going sideways. But I guess one positive to take out of it was Branthwaite and his performance. I guess with Holgate out for the rest of the season, we'll see a bit more of him, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, well said.
Ultimately,
he played well.
Yeah, ultimately pretty lucky to escape with a 1-1. But I think Nick and Andy, you guys both picked that, a score draw. 1-1,
yeah, score draw. Yeah, I think
Yay.
the same. But we weren't that confident, were we, Nick?
I don't know. I could see us conceding, but I always think Villa are quite poor defensively, aren't they? So we've always got a chance, even if we are dross. But yeah, 1-1 I think was probably the most likely result. To be honest with you, for a review show, it's pretty poor that I didn't actually watch. I think I watched the shortened highlights, I think the 3-minute highlights. For anyone that reached this in the UK, it was a 3 a.m. kickoff here, so I couldn't bring myself to do it. And then when I saw the score, I watched the goals, and that's it. Positive would be, I think Theo Walcott's header was a good one back across the goal.
Yeah.
Perhaps the defender could have done a bit better, but anyway, that's probably the only positive that I can see out of a result like that. And yeah, we're just stumbling over the line and waiting for the season to end, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Chris?
So I did get up at 3 a.m. Obviously, it was a waste of time. Again, can echo my sentiment from last week. It was exactly the same game. They lined up exactly the same. They all showed exactly the same intensity. So in all honesty, I should have gone to sleep at halftime, but I thought maybe they'll show something. They did. And then we nick a point in the 90th minute with a Theo Walcott header. One of the smallest blokes on the pitch gets a header. So,
I don't know who Theo Walker is, but we should probably sign him. He couldn't be worse than anyone we've got currently.
Even if he hasn't been born yet, just sign him up. And
we dominated possession in the game again. We did nothing with it. It's just one shot on target for the whole game.
Yeah.
DCL missed a bit of a sitter. Should have at least got it on target and put it just wide.
And that one shot on target is against the poorest defence in the Premier League this season as well.
Yep. Yeah. So
but credit to Villa though. They had a plan and they stuck to it. And I thought Grealish was great. Like, what a player! I
think he's 100% going to get sold for 50 mil plus to one of the big boys.
I'd love him at Everton, but I can't see it money wise that we could afford him.
Yeah,
I don't think he suits a 4-4-2 either.
No, well, if that's the way we're going to go, then probably not.
I think Ancelotti's going with a 4-4-2 because of the players that he has, and that he thinks this is probably the best way to damage limitation. Or do you think he's going to stick with a 4-4-2 moving forward, even getting his own players in?
I think he'll change it up.
I think at Napoli he favoured a 4-4-2, but a lot of the times it was almost like a 4-2-4. They were so attacking. So I mean, if he wanted to play a 4-2-3-1, for example, that's what the current players were bought to play in. They were bought to play in that system. under Silva. So, I mean, if you say it, like, it sort of dictates that he's not really playing the tactics to suit the players that we have. He's playing the tactics he wants to play, I think.
I think it's all going to be determined, I reckon, on who he buys. If he can't get us a forward-thinking, attacking number 10 effectively to play in the middle and control the game, someone like a Grealish that's going to have the ball for 50% of the time we've got it and play those critical passes out wide and bring our wingers into the game. If we can't find that player, then who knows? I think the 4-4-2 is where it's going to be. But I've seen what they're trying to bring in. We're going to bring in another centre back, a centre midfielder, a right back, and a right winger. They need to bring in more. I think midfield is our problem. I think we need another defensive midfielder for cover. I think Gomez is just a shadow of the player he was. I know he broke his ankle, but I don't even think he can run anymore. He just walks like he just has nothing anymore. So I think, I don't know, Carlo and come out, I read this morning, him and Brands have offices next to each other and they're talking every day about what he wants and target players. So if they're going to work together and get those players that he wants, then who knows? But, when he was at Chelsea, he changed it up all the time. Every second game, he was changing it up. He was bringing players in, rotating players out. And I think he probably wants to do a very similar thing with us, but we just don't have the cattle at the moment. Hopefully we can get it.
Interestingly, he has that. I read somewhere today that's actually the first same 11 that he's named in his 19 games in charge. So in 19 games, he has not once named the same starting 11. I'm not talking about consecutively.
Okay.
I mean in total.
In total.
So he's never named the same starting 11. And I think, look, if we are going to stick with the 4-4-2, then I think Gomez is okay for that because you don't need, you're not looking for someone to shield the back four necessarily, but what you're looking is for one of your central midfielders to sit on the ball and spray passes and the other one to constantly move backwards and forwards, either with or without the ball. And we don't, like, Davis is not really that player. He's not confident enough to go forward with the ball at his feet, and he's not good enough defensively. Gabaman could be that player, but we don't know because we haven't seen enough of him.
I keep forgetting he plays for us. I keep forgetting.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
we've got the central midfield options, but he's still there.
And look, I think we're in desperate need of at least one good winger and one central midfielder. I think right back, Seamus hasn't had the best season, but we've got Kenny, who by all reports has had a good time at Schalke. And Chris, I know you're going to touch on the loan players later, but I don't know how he's been performing there. But, if he's getting a game time, which I believe he is, I can't see that he'd be any worse than what we have already. But yeah, I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I get what you're saying about Gomez, but again, as we said last week, we had nothing to play for in this game. Villa are fighting for survival. So it was always going to be tough in that regard. And, the other thing to bear in mind is the short turnaround of games at the moment. Our squad is not a big one to be able to give them a break. So since the season resumed after COVID, we've had a lot of games in a short space of time, and Gomez is coming back from a pretty bad injury during that time as well. So it may be partially that he can't run, maybe because he's fatigued, and also I think a bit of lack of effort because of, like, as we all are, the players are mentally checked out.
Yeah. So on that note, on that sort of air of positivity, what does everyone? Andy, start with you. What are there any good points about this season? What are you thankful for?
Oh gosh. Well, it's all pre-COVID at the moment. It's all pre-COVID. Like, we had some decent results and stuff, and as we mentioned a few episodes before, like the Chelsea result with Ferguson was brilliant. But it's just really weird. Like I said, like it's the same players who performed so well in that game, motivated everything, and then this thing happens, and then it's just like their whole other. It's like the soul's sucked out of them, or it's like, I don't know, it's like they've lost a trophy already, even though we haven't been in the running of any trophies, but they're just playing and acting like, oh, we lost that final yesterday or something, and they're just so unmotivated.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what it comes down to, isn't it? Motivation.
Yeah.
You know, we spoke about it last week. We can call it, you know, love for the shirt, fight for the club. We can call it all of that, but really, it's you know, it's doing your job. They're professionals. I mean, I guess too, a lot of passion in games probably does come from the crowd.
Big time.
So you know, I'm not saying these are excuses as to our performances, but really, also if you look at it, really since Carlo took over, you know, he got us out of the relegation zone and within touching distance of a top 6 finish prior to the Tottenham game. We beat Leicester just before that, you know, who were flying. They're third on the table. They're probably going to be in the Champions League next year. Our home form has been, we're undefeated at home since Carlo took over.
Well, yeah, that's a big positive. We kept that record now. So
Yeah.
So there are definitely some positives there. And I think, you know, as much as this end of the season is, you know, horrible to watch, and we're all just hoping that it's over. And again, I don't think it's just the fans; it's the players as well. I think there are some positives to take in to look forward to next season. And honestly, I know the performances the last few weeks have been horrible, but I don't think we need a squad overhaul. I think 1 or 2 good additions is all that's needed to this squad, and perhaps
I
a
would
bit of
say
luck on
4
the injury front.
additions.
Yeah.
I'm going for. I mean,
Perhaps.
I wrote down on a bit of paper that the only players I would keep are. I know we're going off the positivity here, but Digne, Richarlison, DCL, and Holgate.
Holgate.
The only ones I would keep, and then other ones are maybes. But yeah, absolutely right. I guess the main positive thing is Carlo coming in. I still can't believe he's our manager, really. Probably can't. He probably can't either. He's probably thinking, "How did I end here?"
I'm still here.
I think that's positive. And look, it hasn't been great over the last few weeks, but then again, you know, you can't polish a turd, can you? And I think once he's got a sort of summer to go at it in the transfer window and get his own players in and implement some of his own methodologies, or at least beat out the Marcus Silva era out of them, then, you know, at least he has a good run at it. And I think next season there's reason to be positive there. But other than that, I can't really think of much else.
I think the emergence of DCL is probably a positive this year. You know, he come on quite a lot. You know, I know since the restart he hasn't scored, but you know, at the start of the year we give him a lot of slack and ripped into him quite often. But he's come somewhat good. You know, he's going to be serviceable in the Premier League level, which is a positive. I think the season of Richarlison, again, he's just way too good to be at Everton, in my opinion. He could be playing anywhere, and I'm thankful that we have him, because without him, you know, some of the goals he's scored, some of the, you know, counter attacks where he scores, does all the work himself and scores the goal. No one else we have in our squad can do that at all. So I think that's been a positive. And you know, I think there is a little bit of positivity to look into. You know, players like Gordon and Branthwaite. I think both of them have big upsides. I don't know if it's going to be around the first team next year. They might get loaned out, possibly. Especially Gordon. I think, you know, he might. If we bring in another winger and another central midfielder, then I think he may get loaned out to someone in the Championship. Who knows? But you know, there is some positivity there, and I think moving forward, like Nick said, you know, we've still got to get rid of all the Steve Walsh signings that were horrid and well overpaid for everything. So Brands and Carlo, hopefully they can get together. I know they've got a shopping list. We've all seen we're linked with every man and his dog, and we're going to be linked with everyone until they sign on the dotted line. So let's see what happens. You know, who knows how long the off season's even going to be. I know they announced the transfer window, I think, opens in August, and I think it goes till about October. So
I think it's 5 weeks they're talking about, a 5-week turnaround.
Weeks. That's what I heard. Yeah.
So
which kind of makes me worry a little bit, because it kind of feels like we won't have enough time to get the hell over this season and start fresh. It's kind of like we might as well. It's like a longer international break, and you know, then you're back into it. And I don't know how they'd react to that, and is that giving Carlo enough time? But
I don't think it is, because he's not going to get a real pre-season. You know, he's not going to get to take the players away and.
That's right. Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks as a group, you know, but I understand why the season's got to start again quickly, because we missed out on the Euros this year. They've got to have the Euros next year. They're already talking about inviting fans back to the stadiums. I know the German league are going to have 50% of fans from the very beginning. I think the Prem's asking for 25 to start, then up to 50, then so on and so forth. So not ideal, but could be worse. You know, we could be waiting till December, or we could be starting tomorrow, you know, with the same squad we've got. So everyone's in the same boat. That's the one positive thing there, is that other than City, who are still left in the Champions League, where we're going to at least get some form of pre-season on Merseyside. I don't know what they can do, but 2 weeks of Carlo being able to train the players and bring some of these other players in and get rid of the dead wood that has been training that he doesn't need anymore. And, you know, some of these players from, you know, that were out on loan might come in, and we'll see what happens. But all in all, I think the clear highlight of the season was Dunk's first game at Chelsea. Was for everyone. You know, we all watched it together with the Everton Supporters Club of Victorian. It was brilliant. You know, we had such a great night. The positivity in the air, and you know, I'd love to see that sort of positivity 5 games next year. I think would be fantastic, because it'll be 4 more than we had this season. So
I just want to see that commitment as well from the players. Like, everyone was going to every tackle, every ball, even if like when I think it was a long ball by, you know, Davis. Calvert-Lewin just ran for it, and he had that sort of little scuffle with the Chelsea defender. But, like, everyone stood up and round of applause, because he's just, you know, he went for it, and it touched off the Chelsea player, and we got a throw out of it. Like, things like that. Every game
he had
do that.
Point to prove. So as soon as Dunk took over, Calvert-Lewin, and obviously him and Dunk had worked together quite a lot.
Yeah. Like, well, his second goal, he ran up to him, and they, like, hugged it out and stuff. Like, it meant a lot.
So I think that there was some. I know the season's been quite all over the shop, and especially since the restart. But there is positives there, and who knows? You know, nobody knows what's going to happen to tomorrow. We don't know pretty much anything. The world's all over the shop, so we just have to wait and see what's going on.
Yeah, that's it. Tim, did you say yours?
Yeah, but it was pretty much just Carlo coming in, really. That was a positive. I mean, I did enjoy the Chelsea game. It was nice to have some happy Patron shots at the end of a game. I think obviously, you know, recruiting Carlo, and, you know, honestly, the run that we've had since we've had him, I know the last few weeks have been disappointing, but as I said earlier, you know, going unbeaten at home since Carlo's taken over, and going from, you know, being threatened with relegation to pushing for top 6 is no matter how you look at it, and even though things are not looking rosy right now, any way you look at it, that's a good turnaround by a good manager with a squad that he inherited. I mean, I shudder to mention his name, just in case. I only say it once, because if you say it 3 times, I think he appears. But Fat Sam, you know, he was recruited to get us out of relegation, and he did that, but he did it with boring football, and we didn't shoot up the table. Carlo came in. We all wanted to be safe from relegation. Not only that, we got within a few games of the opportunity to be playing in the Europa League next season. So imagine once he gets the opportunity to chuck in, as Chris said, chuck in a few of his own players. Hopefully we can get rid of some that are no good as well. And I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I think we can be reasonably confident about next season. But, you know, just like all Evertonians, I think someone sent a meme to our WhatsApp group the other day, and it was like the triangle, and it's
That's
like,
right,
I'm depressed, and then I get a glimmer of hope. Now I'm happy, and then I'm depressed again.
Yeah.
Just continually goes in a cycle like that. So no doubt we'll be happy, but just again, you know, we've only done these shows for a couple of weeks now, but it'd be nice if we could do one after a win. That's really all I'm hoping for in the last 2 games is a win, or at least a good attacking performance. You know?
Yeah.
So onto that next game, Sheffield United.
Yeah.
What do you think about them?
Yeah.
This is another danger game. I said this last week about Villa. We play these teams at the worst possible time. You know, we've got nothing to play for. They're battling for a spot in Europe, so they're going to throw everything they've got at us. And if bad Everton rock up, you know, we could get done 2 or 3-0. You know, they've had some good results in the last couple of weeks, and they've got plenty to play for that we don't. So again, not a good time to be. There's never a good time to play anyone, but when they've got something on the line, you know, we saw with Villa threw everything at us, trying to save themselves. But Sheffield, that would be huge for them in their first season in the Prem, or first season back, to get into Europe. So,
isn't it ironic that playing Everton when Everton have got something to play for is probably a good time to play Everton?
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Very true.
And then when we play anyone who's got something to play for, it's horrible for us. So it's
you're absolutely right. And Sheffield United have had a absolutely fantastic season. It's good to see. I know he's not playing much, but part of the squad, Jagielka, doing well when he's needed, and they've got a good side. They dig in. They've got some good attacking players. Just
got players that graft, that just give their all. They don't have any superstars that dominate games themselves. They have players that bring each other in. I know at the start of the year, Lundstrom was really good and doing really well, but he's faded out and he's not even starting now. So, and they got a pretty small up top, McBurney and Sharp up top that are just mosquito fleeing around with no Holgate. If Keane's not on his game, he's going to get made to look silly. So, danger game for us. Hopefully we can get something out of it, but I can see a score draw or a loss. But who knows? Carlo, I read an article today that we're going to start Moise Keane and give him a go from the start. I think it's a brilliant idea.
Tim's happy.
The fans are calling for it. The only way we're going to find out if he's any good is by seeing him play. And
that's
about
it.
time, I say.
To see him play against, Sheffield, they're better than us this season, so we want to see what he can do against them, and put him in DCL up top. Start Branthwaite, put in Gordon. I don't know if Benny Benangami is injured. He obviously wasn't on the bench the other day, but if he's not, play the kid. Give him a go. We got nothing else to lose.
Exactly. He's probably a better option than what's up there, because Simpson and all that's been terrible.
At least it'll give Carlo a look at them to see where their level is with a team that is better than us this season. So it'll just give him something to start with moving into next year. And imagine the confidence a young player like Gordon will get if he can jag in another assist against someone like Sheffield, or nick himself a goal. That would be amazing going into next season for him. So definitely. Even Branthwaite starts and we get a clean sheet, that'd be huge for the kid. The kid's he's only 18 years old, so I think that would be massive for him. And who knows? Yeah.
What were you saying there, Nick?
I can't remember. Sorry. Yeah, it all sort of blurs into one talking about the Blues at the moment. I was talking about just play Virginia in goal.
Yep.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So get Pickford out?
For me, I think that I've lost it with him. I think I probably gave him too much leniency when it comes to his whole mannerisms and the arrogance, and his laughing when he makes a mistake. And I think a lot of people give him stick, and I kind of said, "Oh no, it's a nervous tick and all this sort of stuff." But I don't think it was. I think it's just arrogance. Probably not the most intelligent of people.
He'd be pushing trolleys if he didn't play football.
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't. Yeah, he wouldn't. Yeah, God, I lost for words on him. Why not play Virginia? He's a young keeper. Yes, he didn't have the best of loan spells at Reading. I think he started off first choice and ended up third. But then again, that happens with young keepers. Stage of career. Keepers do tend to mature a bit later in their careers. Often playing second string until they're 25, 26. Why not give him a go? These are essentially friendly matches for us. So why not? And I think Pickford, I just don't really want to see him in goal again for us until he sorts his attitude out.
That's fair.
The one thing with Pickford I can say is that he's had a very full-on schedule the last couple of seasons. Maybe he needs a rest. He's played every single game for us pretty much. I think since he come to us, he's only missed a handful of games in total, even cup games. So sit him on the pine. Can't do any. It's not going to do anything bad. If we lose, we lose. It's not going to affect us.
Yeah, no, it's not.
We're safe. And like you just said, Nick, it's like a friendly for us. So have a go and see what Virginia's got. And I'm sure they're probably going to want to loan him out again next year. So if he comes on and starts and does well, then that adds a little bit of value. And there might be teams that want to loan him out for him to go and be the number one there. So it'll be interesting to see the tactics and the team we put out on the park. And you know, if I wasn't in the office tomorrow, I'd stay up and watch it. But I think it's not one for me to stay up and watch this one, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'll be at work, so I usually just listen to it. But listening to it's still pretty depressing because it's mostly all I hear is the commentators going, "Oh, Gomez is, let the ball go. He got the ball taken off him again. Oh, poor passing by Davis. Like, well, why was he?" I'm like, "Oh God, this is just unbearable. I'm not even watching it."
So is the game 3 a.m. tonight? Is it, lads?
3 a.m.
Yeah, 3.
Yes.
And Chris, is Moise Keane a confirmed starter?
No, it was just an article I read today. And
sitting on the fence, doesn't want to put it out there.
Mate, if Moise Keane is starting that game, I'll be up at 3 a.m. and my tip is 3-0 with Moise to bag a hat trick.
I hope for your sake it happens. But the article said that the club are pushing for him to start, and Carlos pushing for him to start. It also said that no matter what, he will be at Everton next season. He will not be going out on loan. He will not be sold. So,
yeah.
And that came out of Carlos' mouth. So
Okay.
I think that shuts everybody up. The talk of selling him wherever or
Roma were interested in him, weren't they?
There's been a few interested in him because he's a young, he's 19-year-old Italian.
Yeah.
He scored goals for Juventus, but we need to remember he's 19 and the Premier League is very different than the Italian league. He's come to a country where it's England, it's totally different than Italy, and it's totally different than being in playing for Juventus. It's very, very different market. So it takes time, Well, it doesn't take time for everyone, but for a player that age, I feel it takes time. So
yeah,
let's see how he goes. Hopefully he does get the start. But the article was very, very positive.
Okay.
In him starting and being around next season.
And talking of loan players, Chris, I think you had some juicy stats for us.
Yeah, you want to talk loanees?
Where's that?
Yeah, so obviously, we're all talking end of season, players coming in and what we need and whatnot. So I've just done a quick bit of analysis on our loan players from the season. So I'm a football tragic, so I watch a lot of football. I've watched a lot of the German league, as a lot of us here in Australia have since the lockdown, because they came back on first. So I'll start with John Joe Kenny. So he's 23. So he's at that age that if he's ever going to do anything, it's going to start around now. He was at Schalke. He had 31 games, 31 appearances. He scored 2 goals. Both of them were worldies. He got 3 assists, no yellow cards, no red cards. He didn't shoot the lights out. He wasn't the best player on the team by a mile, but he was consistent. He continually played. I think the 31 appearances in total is the huge thing. And, that's quite a comparable league to the Premier League. It's quite hard. Challenges come flying in. So I think he's a positive, and I think he may have a future with us, understudy to a new right back. I don't think he'll be loaned out again next year. He'll either be sold or stay. Next one's Ciaran del Sol. So he was at Wigan. He's 22, centre midfielder. He got injured at the start of the year. He played a few games, then got injured, then played a few, then got injured. So he's had 21 appearances in total, and he scored some goals of late. So he scored 5 goals in the last couple of games, a couple of assists. I watched a little bit of the championship and seen him play once or twice. He's very hit or miss. He's either on or he's not. Very similar to what we've got there, to be honest.
Okay.
In all honesty, he probably doesn't have a future at Everton. I had high hopes for him after pre-season 2 years ago. He went really, really well, and I thought he could be good. Played a few games, and then he got loaned out. So probably a no for me. Another one, this one's a bit of an interesting one. It's 25-year-old centre-back Mathew Pennington. So he went out on loan to Hull. It was talked about a few years ago as, potential heir to Jagielka. He sat on the bench a few times. I think he got some FA Cup minutes as well.
He scored in the derby, didn't he? You remember a little toe poke in
Yeah, yeah. So
That's right.
yeah, he was there, and there was high hopes for him. At 25, I know as centre back, as with goalkeepers, they mature a bit later. But if he was ever going to be any good, I think he would have been playing first team by now. With us, not out on loan at Hull. He had 16 games there, or 16 appearances. He started 14 of those. No goals, no assists, but as a centre back, you judge on clean sheets. Only 4 in that time. Also pretty trigger happy with the yellow card, so 10 yellow cards. So probably another one that I think we sell or loan out again. Probably not loan out again. I think he maybe just be bought by Hull. The fans have actually taken to him, so that one's there. Really interesting one, Balassi. Didn't play a lot for Sporting Lisbon. 14 appearances, most of those off the bench or in the cup. He did score 7 goals, but they were mainly in cup games against terrible opposition, teams that probably you could get a game for, Tim, maybe.
Easily, mate, please.
Yeah.
I've been to a Portuguese game, I think Sporting Lisbon against Boa Vista, and the standard of football is shocking.
It's quite dreadful. The only thing going in Balassi's favour is that he is a winger. If we can't land a winger in the transfer market, then maybe he stays. He wasn't the worst for us. He had a lot of injuries. He's 31, so that's a negative. Doesn't really fit the mould of the brand's sort of transfer philosophy, but he's owned by us. So worst case, he becomes a squad player, and to be honest, he probably won't be any worse than what we've got. However, I'd probably like to see a younger player from the academy play instead. The next two are Besic and Ramirez. Both of them are going to be sold. I don't think they have any future.
They'll definitely.
No one's going to buy Sandro, mate. He's scored 4 goals. He's on about 100K a week. No one's going to buy him. He'll just go back out on loan until he either dies or his contract ends, whichever one comes.
Which one would you prefer?
Let's do the contracts.
I'd
We don't
rather
want
not
anyone
say.
dying.
I'd rather not say in case he does accidentally turn up then in 6 months and then I get the blame.
Obviously not great for those two, so I think they'll both be gone. So they're our loan players, but the one thing I'll touch on that I'm more excited about is players that we've got in and around the first team squad and our PL Premier League 2 team. Players like Branthwaite and Gordon, they're massive positives. They're 18 and 19 respectively. They're going to be around the first team I can see next year, or they'll be loaned out only to teams that are going to give them games. I think it's going to be one of those, you need to play them, otherwise we'll bring them back. One I'm really excited and hope gets a go potentially off the bench in the last 2 games is Alice Sims. So he's a 19-year-old striker, big tall lad, big frame on him, really, really quick, very, very much like Lukaku, but from what I've seen, and it's only Premier League 2 and YouTube highlights, his first touch is nowhere near as bad as Lukaku's, so it's not a brick wall. It's quite cushioned. So, he scored 15.
We've all been fooled by YouTube highlights, mate.
Yeah. But, there's big raps on him. I think someone like him, he might push DCL a little bit, because if DCL sees a 19-year-old that's in a very similar situation to him when he was first coming to Everton, it might sort of push him a little bit. Also having DCL, Keane and Alice Sims, all very similar ages, may be good for the competition and could drive that standard up. And then obviously Richarlison, hopefully there as well next year. But there is some positive in there. I don't know how many of the loan players will keep. There's a few more that I know we had out on loan, and I looked them up, but they're not even worth mentioning because A, they've probably never played, and B, they're never ever going to get in our squad at all ever. Most of them were just bought at the Steve Walsh era, and I think they're just waiting for the contracts to expire to clear them off our books. But the main positive is that, by all reports, Brands has been out scouting. He's got players. We're linked with everyone. Him and Carlo are going to work together. Add in some of these young boys that I just mentioned, and we could, it could help us improve up the table. And I think just time under Carlo for a lot of these players will be good. And Brands likes to buy in those young players. So let's see what happens. We've been linked with a few already, and we all did he's from Southampton, he's not going to be that great. But when you actually deep dive into the stats, he passes the ball forward a lot more than what we've got. So it's a wait and see. There's so much uncertainty around all of it. So we'll see what happens. But the club's smart generally. I can see a lot of our other younger players that I haven't touched on being loaned out as we do every year. I think we normally loan out about 6 or 7 young players every season. So it'll be interesting to see what happens and who we bring in and who of those players we keep and use.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Thanks, Chris. That was really good. So yeah, we'll wrap it up there. So we'll get last predictions for the Sheffield game because we didn't get that. I'm going to go for 1-1 draw.
2-2 for me.
I think unfortunately a 2-0 comfortable win for Sheffield United.
If Moise Keane starts, 3-0 for Everton, with the hat-trick to be scored by Moise. If Moise Keane doesn't start, then Lundstrom to come on and score the winner.
Jagielka half volley thunder off the crossbar.
Oh yeah, it could be that too. No, he only brings that out for derbies, mate. I think Lundstrom is also, just before we go, just another interesting one. He came through our youth academy, and he was very good. He has slowed down now. I think the signing of that big Norwegian fella, that Sander Berg, has sort of kept him out of the team. Their record signing in Jan there. But look, to be honest, I kind of want Sheffield United to win because I think it's a good story.
Yeah.
The way they've come up from the championship and have a chance to get into Europe at one of the expensive one of the big six. I think it'll be a great story, similar to like when Leicester won the title that year. It's just adds a little bit to the season, which already has an asterisk over it anyway. Just had to slide that one in for any copper who are watching. So I mean, look, realistically, I think we probably lose this game. I won't be too heartbroken if we do, as long as we see a little bit of a decent performance and maybe some games into a couple of kids.
Definitely. Definitely want that performance, especially in the midfield. Just some kind of good passing or something.
And maybe even a bit of movement and some forward passing.
That's it. And also, like, just some quick thoughts of Leeds coming back up. Like, anyone excited for that?
Well, I'm not excited. I mean, I'm an Evertonian. I hate everyone apart from Everton. And I even hate Everton most of the time. But Leeds are a proper football club. They're massive. They're gone through some hard times over the last 15 years. But they're sort of. I always think of the three: Everton, Leeds, Aston Villa, and maybe Tottenham as well. Those sort of four sort of similar sized clubs. Traditionally successful. Have gone through some pretty dark times since. They're what I would say are Premier League clubs. I know it's a bit elitist, but so I guess I am happy to see a name like Leeds back in the Premier League, and they've got a huge fan base, really good fan base.
Our fans love going on an away day to.
Leeds is a great city. Great stadium as well. I see a lot of parallels. Obviously not in the last 15 years, but historically, trophies wise, the size of fan base, things like that. Good working class club. So I think it's a good thing for the pro.
And that we had.
The one bad thing is they come out today and said they're targeting Champions League football already. That's going to put the target on that. Yeah, exactly right. They get too big for their boots too quick, and it'll be interesting to see. I've watched quite a bit of Leeds play this season, and they play some okay football in patches, but they can also play some horrid stuff too. So they'll beat some of the big boys, I think, depending on who they sign. But I can also see them getting humbled quite bad in other games, especially teams that are a little bit quick
Yep.
teams will tear them up. Teams like Man City will probably put bulk goals past them.
I think just one other bit of news that sort of caught my eye this morning, which I found very, very strange, was Nigel Pearson being sacked by Watford with
Oh, yeah.
two games to go in the season, and they're not safe yet. Like
And
what?
he took
what
over.
is that?
He took over with them dead
He
and buried.
took them from last.
Bottom of the league. He's
Yeah.
okay. Things have dropped off, in a couple of games recently, but they were at the bottom of the league. They were dead and buried, and he's got them with a fighting chance. The last game of the season, I know they're playing City and Arsenal the next two games, but if you look at it, they should stay up.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
And to get rid of them with 2 games left, I mean, the only thing I can think of is that something's happened. I don't know if you guys saw his interview after the most recent game against West Ham, but he was not in a good mood.
No.
I don't know if you know about Nigel Pearson, but he comes across like, I don't know, like a bit of a maniac, like a bit of a egotistical kind of guy.
It's about him.
Mm.
Yeah, and the only thing I can think of from the outside looking in is that something's happened behind the scenes. But then again, Watford are known to be a bit of a basket case club. Maybe they thought they would just give the players a bit of impetus for the next couple of games, but who knows?
Watford have always had a habit of sacking managers at ridiculous times. Didn't they sack a manager 3 games into the season and then rehired him after about 15 games a few seasons back?
Probably.
What wasn't it? Flores or
Yeah,
whatever?
there was that guy. Portuguese? No, it wasn't Portuguese. Was he Portuguese?
Kike Flores or whatever his name was.
Yeah, Kiko Sanchez Flores or
They
whatever.
sacked him, I think, last season or the season before, and then brought him back a couple of games into this season. And then it didn't go so well after about 8-9 games, and then they got rid of him again and brought
Oh, jeez.
Pearson in to rescue them. And Nigel Pearson's effectively put them in with a fighting chance, and now they got rid of him. So who knows?
I just found it. Yeah, I just had to bring it up because I found when I read it, I thought because I woke up with the Optus Sport notification on my phone saying it's sacked, and I'm like, well, at least it says sacked and not resigned, so I know Carlo's safe. And then I went into it, and I'm like, Pearson of all people. I thought maybe what's his name, who always sounds like a swear word from Norwich, or
Oh yeah, but he's going to be sacked anyway.
Yeah, he'll be next to go.
It just shocked me because then I went and looked at the results in the table, and I thought, well, they must be technically relegated, and that's why they've sacked him. And then hang on, they're sitting in 16th. They're 3 points above the bottom 3. Like, what's going on here? So yeah, very, very odd. So just wanted to grab some thoughts on it.
No, that's all right. Yeah, fair enough. Everyone can catch us on Twitter at Toffees Victoria, on Facebook at Everton Supporters Club of Victoria, and on Instagram at Toffees Victoria. See you later, lads, and come on, you Blues!
Go on, you Blues. See you, boys.